you have to come in a little bit over here and then come across this way so that you get the lift. Because right there, there's a difference between there and here. But if you start up high...
I need to get better at jumping. It's my biggest area of weakness as a mountain biker. I know that if I was better at it, my bike handling skills would improve in general. I'd also be able to review trails with jumps by myself. I rode Johnny Royale with Terry Causey, who does ride jumps much better than me, so that I could write a review of Johnny Royale. Now, before I get going, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Now, let's talk about Johnny Royale, otherwise known as Royal Johnson. I really don't want to go into a feature-by-feature description of this trail because I feel a little bit out of my wheelhouse on this one. According to Trail Forks, Johnny Royale is exactly 1 mile long and descends 600 feet down the mountain. If you got all your most talented, most enthusiastic, and thoughtful trail builders together and let them build what they thought was the best line that you could put together on their own little corner of the mountain, this is pretty much the trail you would get. Even though I can't hit most of these features, I can tell that this trail is expertly designed. There are ride-arounds for all the features, which is smart because if you don't build ride-arounds, the inevitable people who should not be on this trail will do this. Some do it anyway. Do not do this. Do not ride over the lips of the jumps. It ruins the jumps. There's a difference between a large and high consequence feature and one that's just a poorly designed, dangerous booby trap. Now, full disclosure, there are potentially dangerous features on this trail, and it behooves riders to give it a dry run before hitting all the features at full speed, but they do behave predictably. If you're an advanced jumper, you're going to find a lot of fun and tricky surprises, but no stupid or gnarly takeoffs and landings that don't really make any sense, unlike a lot of lesser trails that make sad attempts at greatness like this. The problem I'm having writing this review is that while I want to talk about this trail, I'm not really good enough at writing trails like this to really do it justice and to properly talk about what the trail builders have accomplished here. I became acquainted with that uncomfortable truth because the guy I was writing it with, Terry, does know a lot about trails like this and was explaining the technicalities of every single feature in such detail that I realized I didn't even know how much I don't know. I'm sure you've all been there at some point in your life, maybe a lot of times. It's a humbling experience, but then again, I like to talk a lot, so I'm not going to let my relative ignorance be an impediment to me talking about this trail anyway. But as relatively ignorant as I might be, this is one of those niche things that I do have at least some access to since I can ride a mountain bike and I am getting better at riding jumps, so I'm getting better and better at appreciating trails like this. One thing I can certainly do is recommend that you ride this trail if you know what you're doing, and if you don't know what you're doing, know that the worst thing you can do is ride over the jumps when you can't clear them. The builders were generous with these ride-arounds, and if you're out of your element, you should use them. But why would you ride this if you're afraid to hit the features? Because jump lines, flow trails, park trails, whatever you want to call them, are works of art. Obviously, every mountain bike trail is somewhat of a work of art, each an example within its own discipline, and this is true of Johnny Royale. It's an exemplar within this particular artistic medium. I don't know if all trail builders consider themselves artists, but I consider them artists, and regardless, it doesn't really matter because even if they don't consider themselves artists, they're actively creating art in spite of themselves. I've already made the connection between mountain bike trail centers and universities, each trail representing a part of a larger conversation that happens throughout the sport. I did that way back when I did my Whistler review, non-review. I think the analogy of artistic disciplines applies here as well. Think of it like a piece of kinetic art where the media are dirt, moisture, gravity, bikes, and the animal motion of human bodies themselves. Even if you don't ride these features, just by looking at them, you can feel them in your bones, in your muscles, and in your nerves. That sympathetic response in your brain when you look at this trail and see others riding it is part of the effect this subject can have on the observer. So what is so inaccurate about viewing this like an art gallery? One that's more exclusive, of course, than what folks perusing formal art galleries can ever experience, because just getting here on a bike makes you part of an unusual breed in the first place. The fact that you can even get down this trail in any capacity on a bike without face planting makes you rarer indeed. So enjoy the fact that you're even capable of getting up here to witness this. One other thing I'd like to point out is that I really just like the forest on this corner of the mountain. It's not quite like the rest of the Sandy Ridge Trail system, and it has its own unique little charm to it. It's so pleasing to me that the trail builders saw the possibility over here, that they were able to visualize this potential. It's a magnificent accomplishment and worthy of praise, even if I may not be able to fully and properly appreciate it. If you're still here, then thank you for tolerating me talking at you all stream of consciousness like this. I'd also like to thank all my Patreon supporters, especially my Loamy Goodness level sponsors, Andy Suri, Charles Kim, Damon Corey, Randy Relithford, and Ty Morgan Marbett. I'd also like to thank my Hero Dirt level sponsors, earning their special mention at the end of this video, Bryce Ulrich, Heather Van Valkenburg, Jason Moore, and Pedro Cantarini. All my Patreon supporters are the lifeblood of this channel, and I don't know if I can continue to do this without your support. So thank you. Now, get out there and go ride your bike.